How do you make an extra several $1,000s as a dog trainer when you are in a hurry to do that and things are really slow? So you're a dog trainer and you hit a slow month. I get it. We've all been there. Trust me. This class is a class that I did live a while back for dog trainers called 5K in 5 days. And it is a blueprint. It walks you through how to stop all of the ups and downs and the struggle and the burning out. So if you want to make more this month right away without spending more time working, without taking forever to get there, without having to spend several hours or even several days learning what to do and how to do it. And even if you struggle to get your current prices, your current too low prices, or you feel burned out, or for whatever reason, you just don't think it'll work for you. So here you go. Please enjoy this class to learn the exact tried and true strategies countless dog trainers have used to double or triple their income, and sometimes even more, from one month to the next, often from the same number of clients.
Being a dog trainer myself and having had a dog training business myself and having been a new one and been a burning out one and been a struggling one and having times where I was broke and having times where I was successful and also everything in between, wherever you are in your business, I've been there. So I know how you feel and I know what dog owners are like. I know what it's like to get tired of dealing with people and tired of having dogs in your house and running a business while you have babies and running a business when you're sick and everything else. So I get where you are. And one of the biggest problems that dog trainers tend to have is that they struggle to get things kind of ramped up. And once they do, they tend to burn out very quickly. You will tend to be ramped up and getting clients in for packages and programs that are just too inexpensive for what you could be getting. And you just need more and more people. And you just are super, super busy in order to get your income goals met. And we want to stop that cycle because if you burn out, you can't help anybody anymore. So your attempt to try to help everybody is failing a lot of people, including yourself. And I see that happen so often. So I have a story to tell you that kind of illustrates the point of what we are going to be talking about tonight and why. So the whole family, we all went on a trip to Ecuador. So Ecuador is a beautiful country. Love it. I love cloud forests. That's one of my favorite things on the planet is rainforests and cloud forests in particular. So cloud forests, if you don't know, are basically rainforests that are usually cloud in the clouds. So there's big cloud that just sits in there, sits on it all the time. And not all the time. It's not always cloudy, but it's beautiful. And it's not just like a foggy, cloudy, rainforest. The clouds in cloud forests are different than like regular clouds. They're kind of misty and they look like smoke. They like blow like smoke. Beautiful place. And my favorite cloud forest so far is actually in Costa Rica, but Ecuador is also super gorgeous. Let me just show you guys a picture. This was the view from one of the houses that we stayed in. There was like these gorgeous gardens and there was a bunch of cliffs and mountains and the clouds settling in. So if you've ever seen the Disney movie Encanto, if you see the scenery, next time you watch that movie and you get stuck hearing the Bruno song, look at the scenery and it looks like that because that was kind of supposed to be set in Colombia. So it's very similar scenery. So while we were there, we were staying at this house that had a driveway that was about like 4 miles long that looked like this. It was just four-wheel drive only, super difficult to drive. It took about 30 minutes every time we drove up this driveway. So we had everything we need to get up and down this driveway. It was along cliffs and there was a bunch of rocks and everything. There was drop offs. So the time of year that we were there happened to be very rainy. And one of the things that we kind of knew and kind of didn't really know is that there tends to be landslides a lot of times in Ecuador, especially during the rainy season. So we were in the truck like the first day, second day, I think, second night we were on our way to back to the house and there was a landslide in the driveway and we couldn't get back. We couldn't get out to the house where most of our stuff was. So it was raining by that point. It was starting to get dark. It was about an hour from pitch black, like no light at all. And all the three kids were in the car and we were kind of nervous. We didn't know if the road was going to wash away because it's like on the edge of a cliff and there's this huge hill that just like fell onto the road. We had no idea how deep the thing was. There was no way we could get through it. So we had an appropriate car for the situation and still it was blocked. There was nothing we could do. So we had no idea how to get through this. So I WhatsApped the owner of the property he's this older French guy who lived on the property in the same area, about a half a mile from our cabin. And he came down with a backhoe. He's like, I'll just be right there. I'll clear it and get you through. So we see him come down. We actually see the lights coming from over the landslide. And this goes on for like an hour. So now it's almost completely dark. So he sends me a message again and he's like, I'm going to have you guys walk through it and we will give you a ride from the other side back to your cabin. One of the things we didn't realize about Ecuador and the culture there is that whenever anything is going on, you will only hear one step of where you are. And then once you get there, you'll hear about the next step. So there is no planning. There is no like knowing what's happening after the next thing. So he says, I'm going to have you guys walk through and we'll give you a ride from the other side. That was like that was more steps than I was even prepared to hear about because usually they would just tell you one thing. So next thing we know, here's this old French guy coming through the landslide with a machete. So he comes over to the truck and he's like, do you have your rubber boots? And we were like, I was like, actually, yeah, I stuck them in the back of the truck before we left. And so he says, okay, climb through. So we all like climb through the landslide. There's water going there. It's raining. We've got all the flashlights. I've got all the kids, got, a couple of backpacks of groceries that we bought. We're walking through this landslide and climbing over trees and everything, get to the other side. And it's not his car. It's the backhoe. So he says, we just all need to ride on the backhoe and all just climb in and snuggle up together, the six of us, including him, on this thing. And it was not meant for six people. We're like hanging on. I have the kids in between me and Jason's on the other side, and he's got kids in between him. So we're all on this backhoe. And then we finally get like, it's a rough drive, right? And I'm sitting on the wheel well and holding onto the kids and the pipe and it's raining and everything else. So it's quite a core memory for the kids, I'm sure. So we finally get back. This is all of us on the backhoe. You can't see Jason. He's off in the other corner. So we were all stuck on the thing. We finally got back up to his house and then get in a car and drive the last like half a mile back up to the cabin. So this is the kids getting off of the backhoe. And this was by far the most like scary experience we had in that country. And we had a lot of adventures go on while we were there. And we've gone on to a lot of like third world countries. So we know how to travel. And it was very interesting. And I'm sure something the kids will remember forever. And they didn't realize how dangerous it was. So we finally got back up to the cabin. Everything was good. The thing about what this kind of reminded us of, we were always like, okay, we have to tell the story eventually during the training. And the way this relates to what we're talking about is that there are always ways to get where you're going, even if it seems like it's impossible. There's always something that's going to be in your way. There's always something holding you back, or that you're stuck and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to handle it. And there's always somebody you can ask for help. And there's always something that can be done about it, even if it's a little bit imaginative and even if it's a little bit scary, even if you have the right tools, like we had the correct truck, we had the way of getting back up to the house correctly. We had what we needed, like that might be related to your dog training skills or a beautiful website or any other thing that you have in your business that's going for you. But if you don't have this one thing right, then you'll have an obstacle that you can't get through. So it doesn't matter how great your truck is, you're just going to be stuck and you can't go anywhere and you can't grow and you can't get where you're going. But if you do have this one thing right, then it will almost magically clear away the thing that's holding you back from where you want to be. And it's worked for every trainer I know who's tried it over the years of me teaching it. So with marketing your dog training business, there's like four or five main areas of marketing your business. So like things that are related to marketing. So I want to ask you guys which one you think is the most important. Just out of curiosity, your opinion, what do you think is the most important? So there's advertising. So in other words, getting your name out there, making sure people can find out that you exist. There is your website, any kind of marketing materials where you have all the information about you. There's your like selling ability, what you say during consultations, what you say during, and evaluations, anything like that. So selling skills. And there's like what you offer, how you package your programs, your prices, that kind of stuff. So your actual dog training programs, your offers. Which one of those things do you think is the most important to get right? So Beverly says programs. Liz says they're all equal. Kim says offers, marketing and sales, programs. Keep typing programs, then sales, program. Okay. Programs and sales process. Okay. Awesome. You guys, this is coming from history, not even just because this is just what I like to teach. This is just what works for everybody. The most important thing is what you offer, your actual thing that you have for sale, your dog training programs, how that's structured and how you price it. It's not just something you put together or copy somebody, what other dog trainers have in your area, or, just put something up for sale that's a collection of your time and try to, charge a little less than the other trainers in your area. It's not about That's not the way to go. You want to treat this as a skill. Even if you have great programs, listen up, you can always make them better. That is the most important thing. It is the main thing. The reason it's the most important thing is because it tends to affect all of the other areas of your marketing and improve and make those things easier. The other things don't have that power. So your sales process has a lot of power, but it doesn't have the power to improve your programs or improve the results you get for clients or improve your sales process. It doesn't have as much power as your programs do. Your programs can improve all of those other areas. It makes advertising easier and cheaper. It makes your results better. It makes your sales process a million times easier. It makes your website content better. All of the things are affected by your programs, your income per client, how much you have to work, how much burning out you do. All of it is related to that. So the number one focus that you need from here on out, especially if you're new here, is to improve your dog training programs. The majority of dog trainers, like almost all of you guys, are selling their time in a format of, by the hour, or they have a single lesson and a package of lessons, or they charge by the week for board and train, or they charge by the day for day training, or any kind of combination of those things. Or they'll just have packages of collections of their time for sale, a 4-pack of lessons, a 2-week board and train program, or a per week price of programs, or something like that. Something that is along the lines of selling your time. And that is going to give you a ton of problems by doing it that way. So anything when you look at your programs, all you guys who've done this before and you've already created programs, you need to reevaluate based on what we're talking about tonight and decide and figure out whether or not you are actually, from your clients' perspectives, still selling your time, because that is not the way to go. And I'll tell you why in a minute. One other quick story. I just visited a trainer who has a huge facility in Texas in April. So it's this last month. And we just started the program right before I came. We met on Zoom a few times. I gave them some advice of things that would give them some big impacts right away. And then I went to visit them for 3 days. So it's my Legends program where I go to visit in person. Glenn is here. Glenn and Heather, they were also other legends of mine. Hey guys, I miss you guys. And so they're in North Carolina. I saw them. Oh, I don't even remember how long ago it was now that I came to see you guys. You can tell me in the chat. And when I went to go visit them, they have a huge facility. They have lots of services. Dog training is their primary service. And they have like 40 employees, big company. And I told them, I was like, one of the first things you need to do is get your prices off your website and learn how to do the sales process instead of trying to let your website do it for you, because you're losing a lot of leads from your website just having your prices up there. Second thing is you need to get rid of your single lesson. So they had a single lesson for sale for $250. And majority of their leads were coming through and kind of overwhelmed by all the different packages they had, that so many of them were only just doing one lesson and stopping. And that's usually what will happen when you're selling your time, especially if you're charging by the hour. You'll get a ton of people making you have a much worse imposter syndrome thing going on, because they will be quitting too soon. And that is one of the biggest downsides of charging by the hour or packaging your time. And just charging for your time in any format is that people tend to try to get what they need as quickly as possible. If it works, they stop. If it doesn't work, they stop. And then it makes you feel bad because people aren't getting the results. So people, quit too early. They underpay. They tend to be super high maintenance. They tend to they have high expectations and no follow through. They don't listen. They only buy based on their needs. So they'll buy the bare minimum of what they feel like they can get away with, or based on what you tell them they need. And it's really hard to charge what your outcome and your services and your benefits to families and people's lives. It's hard to charge what those are worth, because like Whitley, I think you told me you're averaging now with your programs like $350 an hour or something like that. It's impossible to charge $350 an hour if you're charging by the hour, but you can easily get that in your programs if you have your programs done correctly. The benefits of having great programs as opposed to charging for your time, it's much easier to make more per client. People value it more, so they will tend to also be more accountable. They're much better clients. They listen. They value your input a lot more. It makes everything easier. You'll work less hours, so you'll basically be able to double your income and work half as much if you have your programs done correctly. Your clients get better results because they listen to you more. And since they listen to you more, you enjoy it a lot more. You get better clients that you actually like more. And most of you guys are introverts. So that's really important for you to be able to enjoy the people that you are having to tolerate being around. Very important. Your programs are easier to sell. instead of just selling your time. So your sales process is a lot easier. Remember, I told you it affects everything. You got to get that backhoe out of the way, and now all your other skills can do their jobs, you know, or you get the backhoe to get your obstacle out of the way, I should say. Your clients will be able to choose how much they want to spend instead of just picking only what they need. And they can buy more based on their preferences, which is always fantastic if they just choose to spend more. There's a lot of simplicity, a lot of flexibility. You'll get more referrals because your clients are happier. It's not just for rich people, and it's not just for board and train programs for you to have like high quality, expensive, even programs, because there are people in your current market who are happy to pay for more quality if you had it available. So your programs are like that backhoe clearing away that landslide. They make many other things about your business better and more open to unlimited possibilities. Your programs make all the other areas of marketing easier and better. Like I said, none of the other things have that power. So actually, Megan, are you still here? I want to unmute you and have you tell us, you're always here. I want you to just tell us what kind of impact your changing your programs has had on your business. I'm just going to ask you to unmute and I want to share some stories here. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey,
I suppose you want me to say more than just do whatever Molly tells you, right?
you can say whatever you'd like.
We relocated and I started here with a different coach that gave me a really good start, and I had programs and I was making more than I had made, but I was working too hard. I worked 5 months straight without a day off, and it was a little rough. So to say the least, so when I started tweaking things and I just went and looked at my numbers, I'm making double. My per ticket is double what it was in 2019.
Wow. And you're
So
working a lot less too.
I am. I think I took 5 weeks off this year. I just block them out, and that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. But more like, you really helped me decide what I want to teach people, how I want to teach it. And so my programs, I have a better feel to my program. I'm doing much better at attracting the people I want to work with. I love my clients.
Yeah.
If you hate your clients, you're doing it wrong. Like, maybe
Good
one
point.
person a year gets a little cranky, but so they're happier. I'm getting better results. If you're an introvert, raise your hand.
Yeah. Do it. Raise your hand thing up if you're an introvert.
It's hard for me, but because I now know who I want to work for, I am better at, and I know Lane from a video course. Lane, those videos are helping me like show people who I am and attracting people or scaring off the people I'm not for.
Yeah.
And so I have to talk to less people, but they are not better, but they're more better for me.
Yeah.
They are my kind of crazy, but they know what I do, what I can get for them. So I just do what Molly tells you. If you want to be happy and not hate your job and not burn and help people,
Yeah.
and I make enough money now that if there's someone that I want to help that can't afford me, I can afford to just help them.
Yeah.
Or I have the time to learn how to make videos to help people for free. So
Yeah.
I make, people pay me a lot of money, but I now have that room to help
Yes.
those single moms or that lady that's got out of a bad situation. So I can still help those people too. And we really are at that point when, like if we talk about prices and I'm like, it's crazy, but I just do it. And it has worked every single time. You have not steered me wrong. I'm booking out to August now. So, and my husband's like, that's crazy. You can't keep doing that. How long and I'm like, I don't know. I'll let you know.
People wait.
So,
Yeah, they do wait. Yeah. And
they
you
do
have
wait,
great
and
programs. People will wait for them.
yeah. So I just love the feeling that my programs have now and what's in them and what I'm teaching. I just love it.
Do you mind sharing, if you don't want people to know this, totally fine. Just say, do you mind sharing what your average income per client is right now?
Now, this year, my average ticket this year is $3,200 a client.
Yep.
So I'm on, and I work out of my house. I've chosen to work out of my house. I've chosen to not have employees, and I will gross 6 figures this year. And I have low overhead because
Mhm.
I look like this is my house. So I'm making more money than I've ever made, and I'm having a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Glenn, do you want to say anything since you're here? I know you guys let me ask you to unmute and I will pin you as well. Go ahead.
All right, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you guys doing?
Okay, we're doing great. We miss you tons, but we are doing awesome. And so Megan pretty much nailed everything that we have gotten out of, working with you as well. But just our backstory a little bit. Heather was a full-time nurse. I was a full-time teacher. I actually did this since 2012 up until, gosh,
2020.
2020. And so we wanted to say we started working with you in 2019, but we had to work with you more than 1 year before I retired. I think it was probably 2018,
18,
maybe.
so.
Yeah. But at
Something
any
like that,
rate,
yeah.
yeah, something like that. So, I actually was doing this with one trainer here during the day while I was at school. It was a little stressful. There was a lot to do. And now we're up to, including myself, 3.5 trainers. We just hired an evening person, so I don't have to be outside turning out dogs at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't want to do this with employees, and I understand why you don't. I mean, it is a lot to keep up with. However, we've attracted really good employees now that our clients love, and we love them. They're in and out of our house all the time, so we better like them, right? It would be bad. So that has been something. We have 30 acres, so we almost have to have employees for me to keep up with everything going on in our life and make the business successful. But we've got tons more freedom than we ever had before. Heather just had the opportunity to take our son to Dayton, Ohio to go to the world finals for indoor percussion. And we would have never been able to just drop what we were doing and go with him to get him there. So excuse me, I'm getting choked up. But things like that are just really cool that we could have never done before. Teaching doesn't make a lot of money, as everybody knows, but the benefits are great. Nursing is very stressful. The benefits are also good there. So it was a big step of faith. I actually put Heather out. I made her a fire, put her out on the patio one night. And I just told her I knew I had faith in Molly and I'd prayed about it. And I'm like, we're doing this and it's going to help us, because we always say what gets you here will not get you there. And that was our case. And
Yeah.
we're there again because I do, like Megan said, I need to raise my prices again because Megan, you got us beat by about a week. We're at the end of July right now.
There you go.
Booking out clients. So
You guys can compete now.
no, yeah, I don't want to compete. I want to pick their brains. It sounds like good people. So definitely. But is there anything else? Just the freedom of being able to do more things. And you don't have to have employees. Megan's probably, after I pay employees, she may be making more than we are by doing it by herself.
Yeah.
But just in our situation, some people have to have that. Some people need a brick and mortar place. Some people just do it out of your house like we're doing.
Yeah.
But we're blessed to have great land and a great place to do this. So we're working people, so we don't have to work so hard. But the main thing is do what Molly tells you to.
Thank
It
you for that.
works. Yeah,
I
it works.
appreciate I really don't tell them to say that.
Not at
That's
all.
awesome.
Anything you get? I think that's it.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And the everybody's experiences are a little different because like my dog training business was just in my house, but for a long time it was just me and working out of my house, never had employees or anything. And there's a lot of you guys who do have employees or even have big facilities. You can run the business any way you want and still be able to be successful and have a great, solid, thriving income that's consistent without working yourself to death. And that's a lot of the big stories. And the stories that I love the most is you guys who have a lot more time and freedom to spend with your own dogs, your own families, and travel and take time off and all that too, because that's just as important as being able to make a lot of money. And there was a huge income increase for Glenn and Heather as well, going from before they had their programs to after. When I came and sat down with them, we changed their programs and recalculated everything and looking at the before and after, it was basically making twice as much with half as much work. And a lot of people come to me with a lot of goals. And when I pull their goals out of them, it eventually comes down to that they need to make twice as much and work half as much. And so that's not an uncommon result and an uncommon goal. And don't feel bad if that's your goal, because you can definitely do that. The first thing you have to do in order to get there is to get rid of the time for money mindset for your dog training programs, that you're trading your time for money. That's a number of hours, number of days, number of weeks for X number of dollars. It's really harder than you think to get rid of that idea, because everything you do is just a habit of it's X amount of lessons for X amount of dollars or whatever. And everything that you do and the way you communicate with your potential clients has been geared in that direction all this time. And if you're just starting out, you want to avoid that entirely. The way you want to have it geared toward instead is that your clients, especially the best clients, are not paying for your time. They're paying for what they get out of your time, obviously, which is the benefit of their dog being trained, the outcome. You should have programs based on outcomes, not based on time. That is basically boiled down the main point, that you should be very clear about what you can accomplish in a certain amount of time and sell that instead. It's not about what you do, it's about what they get. So that is something I say, you'll hear me, if you're new here, you'll hear me say that a lot. It's not about what you do, it's about what they get. So get rid of the time for money mindset. More time actually doesn't even necessarily mean better. as far as they're concerned, your potential clients, more time, like a bigger program that's just longer, is not more valuable. Faster is better, not just longer. So it doesn't even matter if your programs are just like loaded with more time. If time was what was valuable, then you'd have people lining up to buy a 100 lesson program. And you don't, because they don't value time as far as that goes. They value the outcome happening sooner. So if you can do things quicker, you can charge more. The more time usually in a program means that the outcome is usually better. The more time you spend with an owner and the more time you spend with a dog, the outcome is better. But ultimately, it's the outcome that they're willing to spend more money on. So that's what you focus on. So how do you do that? Well, another thing is you need to get rid of this idea of selling packages that people buy more than one. So get rid of the idea where you do like you're trying to increase your customer lifetime value by doing a basic program and then hope that people come back for an intermediate program and then hope that people come back for an advanced program. That kind of stacked method of program creation tends to be really, really tough for a lot of dog trainers because you were hoping for the return business in order to get your income per client higher. And a lot of times people won't come back because if they got what they needed out of that small program, they're happy and they stop. And if they didn't, then they think the training didn't work. So then they stop. They don't just keep coming a lot of times, unless you're really cheap. And they're like, well, I might as well try another class, or something like that. And then that's, again, another fast-paced route to burning out or undercharging and then burning out, and all of the above. So you want to avoid doing that as well. So no more basic, intermediate, and advanced programs. Instead, you also want to get rid of the idea, by the way, of just being able to provide only what they need in a program. So if somebody says, how much is your dog training? And you say, it depends on how much you need. All our programs are customized according to your needs. Then you will be not allowing people to buy and spend more on things that they value simply because they want them. And that is one of the biggest skills that you need to know, is understanding the minds of your ideal clients and what they want to buy, what they want to spend money on, and creating your programs around that instead of just creating programs around what they need. So no more time for money mindsets, no more just making the programs gigantic so that they can be more valuable because they're just massive. That's not valuable to people. And no more stacking your programs based on hoping that they come back and do more training later necessarily. And no more just creating a customized program for each individual person who comes in, because then you're not allowing them to spend more if they want to. Instead, you're going to be focusing on giving people options that they can choose how much value they want depending on their preferences. So one of the things you definitely need to remember is that in marketing studies, it's been figured out that roughly 20% of every market, so all of your people who find you right now and contact you for dog training, about 20% of them are premium buyers, which means that regardless of their income, regardless of their life standard or their lifestyle or anything else, they're the kind of people who they believe you get what you pay for. And they want the best of what that service is that they're looking for. So if they're looking for dog training, they want the best quality dog training program that they can get. And that is the 20% of your people who are looking for that. If you don't have that available, they're not going to buy. If you don't have a program that they're looking for that's super high quality, they won't buy anything from you, and they'll walk away and you'll assume that maybe your programs are too expensive for them. And it wasn't. It was just because you didn't have what they wanted. So what you need to do, instead of doing all the things that we just talked about, the mistakes that a lot of dog trainers make when they package together their time and their weeks and their days and lessons and all that stuff into these packages, is to have 3 great programs. And programs are different than packages, the way I usually refer to them. Programs are a collection of things that people want to buy, and a package is just a collection of time. So you might have a 4-lesson package, or you might have a program that accomplishes these great things that usually is accomplished in about 4 lessons. Totally different perspective, from a totally different way of being looked at by your potential clients. One is a lot more valuable than the other. So 4 hours of time, not nearly as valuable as this usual common outcome that you usually get in about 4 lessons. Then it makes it look like this amazing thing that happens to be really quick. And that makes it even more valuable because, like I said, people value speed. So if you can do a lot in a short period of time and they're pretty clear on what you can accomplish, that it doesn't matter if it's less time. Now it's just more valuable because it's quick. So that's just an extra little mindset for you to keep in the back of your head. So you want to have 3 great programs The smallest one being the absolute bare minimum needs that pretty much all of your most common ideal clients would be okay with, jumping and pulling, for example, something like that. Just the bare minimum needs that most of your common ideal clients would be able to be fine with. That's your small one. And then all the way up to one that has all the things they need, plus all the things they might want, all the desires. And this is why, again, it's so important to know the minds of your ideal clients and really get to know how dog owners think. And that was always, if I had ever any advantage as a dog trainer, it was that, because I tend to be, I like people. I like understanding people behavior, why they do what they do, why they buy what they buy. I'm a behavioral psychology nerd. So I was always reading books about stuff like that and understanding why dog owners do what they do and what they want. It was really, really helpful. So the more you know about that, it really helps you figure out what you should include in a big program, what kinds of things that your ideal clients would really, really value. So you're kind of want to going to, and then you'll have a program in the middle. So you kind of want to look at it as like good, better, best. So the good program would still give them what they need. And right now, that's probably all you're selling, because people are just buying the minimum of what they need, and just, whatever you tell them that they need to do is what they get. So if you have good, better, best, you want to start by creating your best program. So this is, if you want to know how to make $5,000 in 5 days without working more, an extra 5K this month without working more, this is how. You take what you already have right now, so there's no risk. You can do what you're already offering right now and create a new big program next to them that you offer at your next consultation. You guys who are here who've already done this before, you might get more ideas, or maybe you just want to share what's worked for you just share it in the chat here of what's worked for you for a big program. And I actually did this recently. We've been talking about this with my coaching programs. Like, my biggest program for coaching dog trainers is the Legends program, the one that Glenn and Heather did, and the one that the trainer in Texas did last month, and where I go and visit for 3 days and we work on things face to face. And after I came back from that program, that month, they took their prices off their website and they got rid of their single lesson, that people couldn't buy one lesson anymore. Just those two things, before they even implemented everything else, before we even did all the things with the programs and everything else, just those two things, and telling them how to do the selling instead of just having the prices on the website, increased their revenue for the company to have their best month in 8 years of the business, and about $100,000 more than the previous month, that location. And that was amazing just by doing that one thing. But with my coaching programs, I came back from that program thinking, okay, well, that's like a $25,000 program that I have, and they made an extra 100K in 1 month. So clearly I'm undercharging. So we joked about it, and it was not really undercharging, but it was just funny, the results that people get for those programs. And so now I'm like, I should really have a bigger program. I should do another everything but the kitchen sink program for dog trainers, because there's this, situations where there's a facility where I could really spend 5 or 6 days and they would be much better off, and they'll make it back really quickly. So by changing the things that we talk about. And it's the same thing for you guys, is that even if you already have great programs, you can create another big program next to it, or you can improve your big program. So you might get more ideas on things that you can do. And there are several parts to a really good dog training program. There's the size of the program, the features that you include in the program, the description of the program, how you actually describe how the program works, and the price. So here's a real quick crash course on how to put those 4 things together into a great program. Basically, what you will do is you start again with your biggest program. Start with the results, because there are really 3 things that your ideal clients value. And the first one is the results being better. So the better the results are, the more they value that program. And the time equals a better result, because the more time, like I said, that you spend with dog trainer or dog owners and their dogs, the better the results are. So if you start with the results, what is the highest level outcome that your ideal clients would value? What does that look like? Is it like off-leash reliability around distractions, that kind of thing? So you think about that. Don't think about all the million variables. Don't think about all the different, like, well, it depends. And, oh, well, what if I get this dog that's like this? That's not really the most common out of your ideal clients. Stick what's in your mind right now with what's most common. So for me, it's the goofball dogs that just jump and pull and don't listen and drive everybody crazy. Just the ones that the families are just super busy and the dogs are just absolute chaos, permanent puppy like behavior. And they mostly want to be able to walk their dog, and for the dog to stop play biting the kids and stop digging in the yard and come in from the yard when they call them, and stop jumping all over everybody and just kind of chill, That's my ideal client. Of course, I would sometimes get the reactive dogs or the dogs that were afraid of spoons or, things like that. So I don't need to think about those ones that are not the most common for me right now. I think about the most common out of my ideal clients. And you figure out what's the highest level outcome and results that those people value, and then figure out how much time that would take you in the format that you most enjoy. Whether it's a combination of board and train and then private lessons, or day training and the private lessons, or just private lessons. Totally fine. Like Whitley is here. Whitley says that her biggest program averages her about $400 an hour now. So I forget what that program is. I think it's like 8 lessons for like, I don't know, 3,000 something, like nearly $4,000, something like that. It's a lot. So even private lesson programs can be super high value programs because it's not just about the time that's included. There's so much more to it than that. So you have the outcome, and then you have the time that it'll take to get that outcome. And then the next step is to add other things that your ideal clients would value. The other things that people value are convenience. So anything you can do to make the program faster or easier, like training the dog for them, picking up and dropping off. For board and train programs, automatically have the convenience factor because you're doing a lot more of the work for them. That's why board and train programs are more valuable, typically are more expensive. It's because you are saving them work. It's not because you're doing more work. It's because they don't have to do as much. That's why they are willing to spend more money on it. So you want to highlight the fact that it's faster and easier and all that stuff if you have a board and train program. But there's a lot of things you can do to increase the convenience in a program, but people do certainly value that. Anything that makes it faster or easier. What can you add to the program to make it faster and easier? Then you'll want to also think about the things that make the program have more peace of mind. That's the third thing that people value. So you got the results, the convenience, and the peace of mind. Peace of mind could be anything that makes the program more certain to work. Long-term support, unlimited commands, unlimited lessons, lifetime support, pack walks, anything like that highlights the fact that if they ever struggled, that you'd be in their corner, you'd be there for them. So any kind of long-term support, anything that you can do to add more peace of mind to the program automatically makes it more valuable. And I know you guys who are new here, you have all these different warnings going off in your head, like, oh my God, I can never do unlimited anything. People would just come every week for the rest of the time. I got you covered there. Don't worry about that. There's like a million great answers to that question. In fact, I have a great answer for everything. Every problem you could ever face with your programs. I've heard it all. So don't worry about that part, but I just want you to get the ideas right now of what kinds of things would make your programs more valuable in terms of results, in terms of convenience, and in terms of peace of mind, and create your big program based on those things. The next step, once you have the ideas for the features of each of those things, what you might include, go back and look at them and get rid of ones that you're looking and you're like, oh, I added that, but it's not something that my ideal clients care about. Like in my case, just me personally, my clients did not care about the Canine Good Citizen test. So I didn't include that in the features as far as the results and prepping for that test. They didn't care. That was just not my ideal client profile. So I didn't include that. They also don't care if you give them a treat bag. Like you can give them a treat bag included in your program, but just make that an unannounced thing. They don't care about that. So you don't have to list all those kinds of things, the little tiny stuff. Stick to the results, the convenience, and the peace of mind stuff. Those are the things that universally people care about. So that is the next step. After that is now you need to take your new big program and you need to write a great description that focuses on the outcomes and not on the process. So right now, the way your descriptions look is this program includes 2 weeks plus private lessons and these commands. It's just a description of what you do, basically. Instead, what you want is a description of the outcome and what that looks like. You'll have a description that talks about the frustration and the embarrassment and the chaos in their house and how that kind of stuff will be gone, and how instead they'll have like the peace and the freedom of enjoying their dog and being able to do specific things with them, take them out in public, have people over, and not be embarrassed anymore by their dog jumping all over them. So just kind of getting them to imagine what the outcome looks like compared to the problem they're facing right now. So you write a short description talking about those things. If you get stuck and you struggle a lot with writing, I've got extra resources for you to keep learning about these things. You write the description and then you go back and you read through the description and you get rid of all the dog trainer jargon. So get rid of recall, get rid of proofing, get rid of balanced, get rid of what's more, we always do this on every single webinar, make fun of the words that we use that we think everybody knows what they mean and they really don't. You want to talk very casually and warm and not super formal, and don't use the dog trainery words at all. So no dog trainery words at all. Yeah. Reactivity is another one. It's just something that like they know, they sometimes know what it means, and they sometimes will use those words only because they've now heard dog trainers use them, but it's not in their normal language. Yeah, heal could be one of them, usually just because they think of it as a fancy command. So you might even just want to just call it loose leash walking. We call it the come command. You know, when you say place, when you talk about place, say, so that your dog stays on their bed so they're not under your feet when you answer the door or eat dinner. Like you want to describe what it looks like and the benefit to them. So remember, you're talking to humans, regular people, and you want to behave like a regular person. Don't be overly formal. Don't use dog trainer jargon in your description. Then the next step, after you have your description and you've weeded out a lot of those sentences and words that you don't need, is you now give that thing a price tag that is pretty far outside your comfort zone. So you might want to price it based on kind of like how much time it costs you, and just get a starting point and how much the extra bonuses that you have in it are, worth. And then you bump it up to a little outside your comfort zone, and then just offer it alongside whatever you already have at your next consult. That has done the title of this class is 5K in 5 days. And I just it sounded kind of like it rhymes. That's why I picked those numbers. But I have people send me stories pretty frequently where they were like one guy was like, my car was getting repossessed. And I did that. And I created a new big program, had a couple of consults, and made $6,000 in a weekend from like 2 clients. And I get stories like that pretty frequently from people who just very, very rudimentary, very basic implementation of this. So don't worry about making it perfect. Go worry about doing something and create a new big program alongside what you're already offering, and throw that thing up next to what you're already offering. So it's no risk. If somebody says no, they just do one of your other things. You're no further behind. You can literally implement this now. So go and stop selling 1-hour lessons and go create a big program and start with that. So when you start with that, there is a ton more that you need to know about this. And I trained dogs for like years and years on my own, and then training dog trainers over the last 11 years. I've been there myself. And over the years, with knowing that there's so many aspects of the program creation and the sales process and your website content and advertising and getting your name out there, so many things related to marketing your dog training business that are skills, things that you actually need to learn how to do and not just do. What I wanted years and years ago was to create a program for dog trainers that included all of these things, so that you could reach your goals, you can make more income, you could work less and have more freedom, have more time off to pursue the goals that you have, and be able to spend time with your own dogs and your family, work with less people, better clients who listen, they're thankful, they follow through, they get better results, they're happier, they send you people just like them, get more referrals. And then another thing that would be great, one of the other things that I wanted in a program to teach dog trainers is, one of the benefits would be being able to be a leader in the industry. Like many of the past students of workshops that I've done rave about the programs that I have created for dog trainers, and give back by helping other trainers like you guys who are here sharing your stories. I've seen you guys on like my trainings for years. You know most of this stuff and you're still here. And a lot of that is because you want to be able to help other trainers and say, go do this stuff. It works. You'll also be able to help more dogs and more families, not fewer. So if you have any guilt over like charging more and making more per client, that you won't be able to help everybody, you'll actually be helping more people. You're not doing anybody any favors by undercharging. You're just going to burn out. And like Megan said earlier, she now has the time to do free training for people because she makes more per client. That you have the bandwidth to be able to give back more if you're successful. So that's another great benefit as well. You can charge a lot and not only work with wealthy people, because like I said, some of those people who want the best of what there is to offer are just regular people. They're not rich people. They're just normal people. Not that there's anything not normal about rich people, but you know what I mean. And it would also be great for a small 1-person business and a facility with like 1 million staff as well. So it'd be something that would help everybody. So that's what I wanted in a program for dog trainers. So it's not even just for you guys who've never done this before, but if you guys have never done this before, if you need better programs, you definitely need this. So this program that I have, this would be how you can learn more about all the extra intricate steps of creating your programs, writing your descriptions, pricing them, and also your advertising, your website content, your sales process, all those other important areas of your marketing.
All right, so now comes the time where I tell you about the program that covers all of those amazing things that you just heard me talk about. That program does, in fact, exist. It's the most popular, very, very, very much loved marketing training program just for dog trainers, and it's called Peak. In that program, you will learn everything you need to know about creating your programs, pricing them wisely, selling them comfortably, getting your name out there, and even scaling, hiring, dealing with price shoppers and leads that ghost you and just never contact you after they contact you the first time, and writing your website really, really well, and even creating virtual or online training programs if that's what you want to do. Everything you need to know is in this program, and all the things you need to know about the program are over at makeitAsAdogtrainer.com/peak, Peak. Head over there right now and check it out. And thank you so much for watching this awesome, fun class.